What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another Face Off Friday. Today, we got Coach Nimi joining us for the first time hosting one of these things. Super excited to get this going. If you guys do not know who I am, my name is Trevor, Jeremy's right-hand man, basically running the operations of Discord, helping out the coaching program, all sorts of things. So super excited to bring this to you guys here today. And if you're new and you're not sure what this is, I have posted in the admin announcement section exactly what the whole point of this is and kind of the breakdown and also some of the recordings of sessions we've done in the past. But essentially, to give you guys a quick overview, because I know we have a lot of new members here recently, is, you guys select a stock. You guys vote on a stock of, which company you'd like to see researched live by one of our coaches. Okay. So it really gives you, a perspective of how each of our coaches breaks down, their research initially into a stock. We were kind of talking with Nimi beforehand, before we got on this call, and he says, man, I use PayPal every day. They charge me so many fees. Hey, I'm interested in looking into this stock, right? And so that's the whole point of this is Nimi's familiar with the business, but he's going to do a little deeper dive into it. And keep in mind as well, this is not like full-blown in-depth research, okay? This is about an hour. We're going to be doing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, okay? So you can only get so much done in that time period. So this is initial research. And the goal is to see if Nimi even is interested in further researching this stock, right? Or if Jeremy's further interested in researching this stock. We're going to be pitching Jeremy on Friday live at the same time, 12 p.m. So hopefully that gives you kind of a bit of an overview. All these sessions are recorded as well. So if you need to go back and watch the recording, feel free to do that. Without further ado, man, I'm going to introduce Coach Nimi and let him take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Trevor. Just before we start, a bit about myself. Actually, I've been here for over a year. I started December 1st of 2021, so 2020. So it's just a year tomorrow. I'm excited for that. And on my day job, I have a business that I teach martial arts, specifically judo, if you're familiar with that, which is basically an Olympic sport. And I've been practicing that over 20 years. I've been part of the national team for over 10 years, and I've been teaching that over 8 years now. So yeah, other than that, I'm a pilot. I fly small engine planes, and I teach stock market investing on my free time. So here with you guys, and I want to share as much as I can. And I also teach the group coaching, and I also did a lot of one-on-one coaching. I think like over probably a few hundred meetings by now. And the reason I'm excited for that is to share basically first how to understand businesses. And it all starts with buying what we already know, which is kind of interesting because I've been using PayPal. I told that to Trevor, right? Like on a daily basis. And my fiance is using that 10 times a day, right? With online transactions. But yeah, I've been receiving payments through that. I've been sending payments. For so many years, and I never even thought, if you guys didn't bring it up, I never even thought about researching the company because I was just, I don't know, I was never interested. And it's such an amazing opportunity to be here and researching that live with you. Honestly, I never researched the company, although I'm very familiar with the business in the terms of me using that. But there are aspects of the business I'm excited to walk through with you that I'm not that familiar with. Like I live in Israel, which is basically we don't have Venmo here, which I know it's a very exciting part of the business. We also don't have basically any crypto activities. So I know that I'm familiar that with PayPal, they do have some of that, but I don't know how much and to what extent and what is material to the business and to our ends valuation and what is not. So I'm excited to share that, to kind of find it out along with you. And in terms of the structure, I'm planning, and it's going to be a fluid plan. I don't know how it's going to go doing that first time hands-on live research, but the plan is like that. For today's meeting, for today's session, I'm planning to just get a grasp of the business, understand the business, and try to understand what is material, what is not to the business. Maybe explore a bit of competition, the competitive space. I know the fintech industry, which I'm definitely not an expert in, but I know it's a very, very highly competitive market, especially nowadays, and it's getting more and more competitive. On the other side, people are using more and more transactions. I can see that from my daily usage, and there's even other types of transaction like peer-to-peer and more e-commerce, and nowadays with with cryptos and all of that taking a part in that. So we'll see what's material and what not. So get a grasp of the business. Second session is going to be about understanding the long-term TAM, basically focusing down on revenues. What is the opportunity ahead of us? And what market share can I'm researching PayPal, so it's already what PayPal can actually get out of that future market share, although they're probably the dominant player already. But what will be the kind of the end game market share in the different segments they operate in? And after that, in the third session, we're going to tie everything together, look at expenses, look at cash flows, look at profits, and tie that into a valuation to say, hey, I'm not going to tell you if you should buy that, but I'm going to say that at the current valuation, to me, based on my research, am I even interested in getting putting in more further time and further energy to researching the stock? So I would love this to be interactive. So if you have any comments, something you want to say, type in the chat. I'm going to try and follow that as much as I can. And if I can share my screen, we're going to get started. Yeah, awesome. So basically, you're probably already familiar with that. That's the bullish thesis template that we're using for both one-on-one coaching and the group coaching, but I tweaked it so it's going to be more like my actual research that what I'm using on a daily basis. Actually, when I'm doing my own research, basically I'm usually highlighting like old school printing papers and highlighting with a marker. So I'm not going to do that today because that's going to be very interactive. I will take notes, but I highlight the different points. I put it in there. So it's going to be very similar to what I do when I research a company. So I haven't done any, again, as I said, I never research PayPal, which is odd because I always research companies that my first go-tos are products and businesses that I use. So together, we're going to try and figure out the business model of PayPal, and again, what is material and what is less material in terms of running the valuation at the end of it. So I want to start with the 10K, and we're going to do back and forth between the 10K, maybe investor presentation, and all of that to see how's the business looking like. So I'm just going to talk with myself and kind of give you my raw thoughts and getting some notes in between. So yeah, that's the proxy statement. Okay, let me go to the SEC filings. Okay, so that's the most, let's see, the most recent annual report, 10K. All right, so again, we'll go back and forth, and I want to also do some external research as we go. Usually what I would do is just sit down and have a thorough look at the 10K without a lot of other sources, just to see if I can get a good grasp from the 10K. But because I'm not going to read the whole risk section along with you because that's going to be a total waste of your time. We're going to read the important points. Again, business focused, understand the business model, how did they make money, and from there we're going to see if there are things that, let's say, I know that they have other apps that I'm totally unfamiliar with because I don't have that in my area. So we're going to maybe try and see how we can search information for that. By the way, type in the chat if you are US based or international, because I think there's a big difference for international users for at least some of the apps and features they have. Yeah. So oh, Trevor, you're from the US. Oh, okay. So, yeah, so people from Germany. I know some of my clients are here, so I know some people from Canada, from also Germany. Awesome guys. Yeah. So, for example, right, I said about Venmo. I don't have I don't have Venmo here. Like we can't use it, but we do have some other apps, basically bank apps that we can use to do peer-to-peer transactions. So I'm familiar with the usage, but I know that Venmo, for example, is more of a social media type ish app. So it's going to be interesting to see how we can incorporate that and how we can get experience while not actually getting experience. By the way, if you guys want to share your experience with some of the apps that I'm less familiar with, I would love to hear you chime in because there's nothing like boots on the ground experience. So overview. Let's read along and kind of see where we're at. PayPal Holdings Inc. Was incorporated in Delaware, blah, blah, blah. leading technology platform and digital payments company that enables digital and mobile payments on behalf of customer and merchants worldwide. PayPal is committed to democratizing financial services, and empowering people, businesses to join and thrive in the global economy. So first, we found our mission and vision for the company. Now, I usually rate, is that a mission-driven company or is it kind of a BS kind of mission? And so I always give the example of maybe cigarette companies and things like that. So I would say that this mission stands out to me. Maybe originally PayPal had a very strong mission in that sense because there was some kind of payment system, but there was nothing like what is PayPal is today and Square and those kind of things. So basically, they almost created the online payment system and basically, actually, right, democratized financial services. Today, is that still the mission, especially how the market is today? Maybe to some extent. So I'm gonna basically copy that, but I'm considering that maybe a 5 out of 10 for what was that? For yeah, the mission of the company. Kind of 5 out of 10. It is to some extent still I would say that that's a part of the mission and vision, but not a very strongly mission-driven company like I don't know, like a Beyond Meat that really wants to revolutionize the way that meat consumption is going or something like that. But it's good to know that that's what's driving them. Yeah, our goal is to enable consumer merchants to manage and move their own money anywhere in the world, anytime on any platform, and using any device. This is really good because in a sense, they're not trying to limit themselves, let's say, to, I don't know, only iOS, only to this geography or that geography, right? They're trying to be a one-fit-all solution or something close to that. So I like that, and that's a good thing to know about the business model. And we will take a look at that later on if they give other clues to that, maybe specific geographies, maybe specific platforms. And I want to see more which platforms or which where are they prevented from doing business? That's something that's interesting to me to think about. Our combined payment solution includes PayPal, PayPal Credit, Braintree, Venmo, Zoom, and iZettle products and services comprised of payment platforms. So, okay, so for me, PayPal is the only product that I ever used. So if I'm gonna go for the business model here, so have I ever used the products? It's only to some, so only the core PayPal system. I would say payment system. Okay, so I haven't used Venmo, I haven't used Zoom, and let's see what it is, right? I don't know what those are. PayPal Credit, I can assume what it is, like a lending credit, and maybe we can read more about it. But Braintree, Venmo, I actually know that, I think that Braintree bought Venmo at some point, if I recall, like from far history, and then they bought Braintree or something like that. And I know there's something about it was a very low price they bought it, but let's check Braintree. Let's see what they do, and Venmo, Braintree. Let's check Venmo. And what else do we have there? Zoom. And iZettle. By the way, let me know if any one of you, other than the core PayPal products, let me know if you have used either one of those. Yeah, I know the usage, right, it's basically a peer-to-peer system, but I want to see how it looks like. And so Venmo is an app, probably I won't be able to access that, but we can use an iZettle. Let's see what they have. iZettle. Okay, so PayPal point of sale. Okay. So yeah. Okay, so that's basically a point of sale they have, like probably competing with Square, and basically you just put your phone and you pay with that. I wonder how integrated that is and what geographies they have it because I've never seen it. Maybe it's more popular in other places. Zoom, send money with Zoom and PayPal service. So why do they need it for, maybe it's for other places that they don't have. I'm looking at if we, yeah, we have that here. So we do have, so it's for sending abroad paper, with paper service. So probably, I'm looking at the geographies. It looks like they have most geographies. Only it looks like like most countries. So that's a good selection of countries. 3 years to send money, deposit into a bank account, send cash to for pickup, have cash delivered. That seems like very old school, but yeah. Awesome. So it's good to know. I wonder how big of a business that is. Doesn't seem huge, but interesting. And Braintree. Okay, so that seems like a bit more complicated. Let's take a look. So we can close that. Joe's saying Venmo is the main app I use to send and receive money when selling and buying things. Recently bought some tires and paid for HVAC service with using Venmo. That's awesome, man. Yeah. So it's you're saying basically that's more than just a peer-to-peer. You're buying a HVAC and you're paying that for with Venmo. So it does have some business application. That's good to know. Yeah. So that's the Zeta. We already looked at Braintree. So products. Let's look at accept online payments. So yeah, that looks like an online payment solution. Maybe a Stripe type competition. Increase efficiency. Yeah, expand reach features. Fraud tools. Yeah, it looks like an online payment system kind of incorporated. In-store payments. Awesome. So yeah, now we know what it is, right? We know what each one is. Maybe it's going to be laid out in the 10K. Maybe I didn't need to do all of that, but I want to see first hands-on research, right? I know PayPal. By the way, you want to see how much I'm familiar with the business. It's on my favorites, right? You can see that here. It's on my favorites. So yeah, I'm using that on a daily basis. I'm sending money and I'm receiving money from that. So, and by the way, the money that the most money I'm paying is actually when I'm receiving money. They get a pretty decent chunk because I'm receiving, and they're taking a big chunk for the commission to convert it from USD to the local currency. So that's also something in the back of my mind. I do want to see the percentages. I will take a look at my own PayPal transaction and kind of see how much am I paying, and maybe they're going to have a detailing of that. Again, I want to see where the money is coming from, I know they have a lot of transaction flowing through the system, but I want to see how they monetize those. Okay, so PayPal's payment solution enabled to consumer to send and receive payments. We operate in a global two-sided network to at scale connects merchants and consumers with 305 million accounts. Again, this is the 10K. It's going to be probably old, and we're going to take a look at the 10Q maybe today. Thank you, or maybe the investor presentation, maybe today, if not next meeting. And the only thing I'm going to do in between our meetings in terms of research, I will listen to one of the conference called the recent one to get more updated because I can't spend time like 30, 40 minutes listening to a conference call with you. Consisting of the 281 million consumer active accounts and 24 million emerging active accounts. I think that's going to be key later on. So let's just copy that. No, this is the old numbers. So yeah, let's do that as of 2020, and we will see the shift. So I want to see the percentages also. So making money through transaction and transactions. And again, I'm just taking notes, nothing too elaborate. And that's the user. You know what? That's going to be here in the consumer side. Who are the consumers today? So that's not even today. That's probably an old number, but we will change that as of 2020. Okay. So now we know. Mac user is saying, I know eBay stopped using PayPal for the main payment method. So yeah, maybe we can see how did that impact them. Personally, I know how big of if you said that Amazon stopped using them, I would be more worried, but yeah. Tim Evans, do you want to say something? I see your hands raised. So let me know if you want to say something because I see your hand up. But probably because the question I asked earlier. Yeah, we provide proprietary payments solutions accepted by merchants, enable competition and payments perform behalf of our customers. Okay, makes sense. We offer the customers the flexibility to use their account to purchase payments and goods and services, as well as the ability to transfer and withdraw funds. That's what I'm familiar with that. I'm using that, as I said, on an almost daily basis, and I withdraw funds on a weekly basis. Yeah, no worries. We enable consumers to exchange funds more safely, merchants using a variety of funding sources, which may include bank account, a PayPal account balance, Venmo account balance, PayPal credit amount, a credit debit card, and stored value products, coupons, gift cards, blah, blah, blah. Okay, our PayPal, Venmo, and Zoom products make it safer and simpler for friends and family to transfer funds. When they say simpler and safer, like, it's against what, right? Is it simpler? Maybe it's simpler than doing a bank transaction, but is it safer than doing a bank transaction? I think not. And maybe for third world countries when they don't trust their banking system so much. But essentially, I don't know. So I have an issue with both the safer and the simpler. So safer in some cases and simpler in some cases, but. Yeah, maybe especially for Venmo, because PayPal itself is not always the simplest to use. They can give you hell sometimes, and it happened to me not a while ago. We offer merchants end-to-end payment solution, provides authorization settlements capabilities, that's good, as well as instant access to funds, that's true. We can help merchants connect with customers to manage risk. We enable consumers to engage in cross-border shopping and merchants to extend their global reach while reducing the amounts of complexity involved, enabling overseas and cross-border trade. So I think that's the business, actually. Most of it, or a big chunk of it. I think the cross-border thing, I think that's one of the key parts of the business, in the sense that why am I using PayPal? Because I am both sending payments to sometimes sellers I'm not that sure of, and actually everybody that I know and myself that started using PayPal is because of the safety feature, right? I don't want to put my credit card in some unknown entity's hands, so I'm going to put it in a PayPal account. Then it's going to be a safer way to engage in business. And actually, if I want to get paid from basically any other country, I have to use PayPal. Basically, I have one other option, and it sucks. I forgot the name of the service, but it really sucks. So I really didn't appreciate the experience. I tried to open an account. It wasn't very fun. So I think that's a really good competitive mode and competitive advantage, or I would say maybe a part of the core business that I would be think about. So yeah, let me incorporate that. Let's do enabling online cross-border business. Okay, so we're starting to build. So we are still in the phase of building education. We are not fully developing a thesis yet, right? First, we get our education right, then we'll develop a thesis. So we're gonna start moving faster. Yeah. We earn revenues primarily charging fees, completing payment transactions for customer on and other payment-related services, typically based on the volume of activity processed on our payments platform. So basically, what they're saying, they're dependent on the volume of the transactions. Generally, we do not charge customers to fund or draw from their accounts. However, we generate revenue, okay, from consumer fees charged for foreign currency. So yeah, that's awesome. So as I said, right, so e-commerce, right, cross-border e-commerce is where I see a lot of their competitive advantage and the actual use case for the product. And a lot of their revenue is generated. If I would see an actual figure, right, it's like 90%, 95%. I wouldn't say a lot, but currently it's a lot. I will try to find a more solid type of data. So it's a tentative number. Revenues generated through fees from foreign currency. Awesome. So yeah, by the I will take a look at my conversion fee. Again, I have that every time, so it's not a small chunk. I think it's less than 5%, but 5% is still enough. So I think it's a bit lower than 5%. I will take a look at the actual number. So yeah, that's very good to know. That's already making progress. Generally, we do not charge customers. That's I read that. Yeah, and instant transfers from PayPal or Venmo to account to the debit or bank account as well. So also charging for instant payments. So charging for instant payments. Yeah, on our PayPal merchant and customer credit products, subscription fees, and gateway services. I'm just going to copy that and those. Okay. So basically, we're describing the business model, and that's more how the company makes money. So we're going to transfer that, yeah, transfer all that section in how the company is making money. Okay, so definitely a service type business, a software as a service. They don't have any physical goods. So are they a products, a service, or a hybrid based business? I would say solely or almost exclusively a service based products. The only reason I'm doubting it's a solely service because the Zoom thing they had, sorry, the IZ thing they have, which might be they're selling the product itself, but it's probably a super small of the part of the revenues, if any. We provide our merchants and customer, yeah, we saw that, which include a Payflow gateway service, a Braintree gateway service, provide technology that links a merchant website to its processing network, and the merchant account enables merchants to accept payments online with credit cards or debit card. Okay, that's good. Strategy. Now it's getting interested. Our ability to grow revenues is affected by, among other things, consumer spending patterns. Makes sense. That's what I talked about myself. I see myself using more and more online transactions. So actually, this is a positive, right? This is a bullish point that I think the patterns are going their way, and people are using more and more either peer-to-peer transactions or just online transactions, especially cross-border. Yeah. I'm really interested to see the geographic split they have in terms of consumer. If they have that, I really hope. I'm assuming they will have something. Merchants and consumer adoption of digital payments methods, expansion of multiple commerce channels, the growth of mobile devices, merchants. Again, all trends that we see, right? More e-commerce, more mobile devices, more merchants, right? Especially after COVID, we see what's going on with Shopify, with Amazon, right? We see the trends, and PayPal is taking a cut from that. Yeah, the growth of consumer globally, internet mobile access. That's more of a third world thing. People that are not getting mobile access. Maybe with Starlink, if they're going to provide the internet everywhere, that's going to be a bullish point for PayPal. By the way, Elon, if you know, he came from there. He was basically, you can call him a founder or something, because it was an acquisition or a merger they had. The pace of transition from cash checks to digital forms. Yeah, I stopped carrying. I don't carry any more checks, right? Everything is done digitally, so I highly agree with that. Our share of digital payments market and our ability to innovate, introduce new products and services to merchants and consumer value. Our strategy to drive growth and business includes the following. So that's the statement, and now let's go to the action strategy they have. Growing our core business through expanding global capabilities, consumer base and scale, increase our customers. Again, there's no meat in it. I'm not seeing what they're actually doing, just kind of blank statements. Use of our products and services by better addressing everyday needs related to accessing and managing moving money. I think they're already doing that. It's nothing that's it's good that they're doing that, but nothing exciting here. And expanding adoption of solutions and merchants by customers. Yeah, everything that you might expect, nothing exciting here. expanding our value proposition for merchants and consumer, okay? By being technology and platform agnostic, that's very good. That's a bit more exciting. Being platform agnostic, meaning they're not walling themselves from one platform and another, and technology or another. So that's very good. I like that. Let me see if I can type that. So let's see where I'm going to put it. So I'm going to just put in the services or the customers today. Yeah, they work with many platforms and technology form factors. Okay, so that's good to know that the technology and platform agnostic. Partnering with our merchants to grow and expand their business online, in-store, providing consumers with a simple, secure, flexible ways to manage and move the money across different markets, merchants, and platforms. Again, I think the cross-border thing is a big part of why it actually exists nowadays and the actual use case. Again, maybe I'm too subjective here. Maybe, again, if you guys have any input on that, I would love to hear. But I think that's my personal usage from that. And I think that's one of the reasons that actually exist. And actually, they talked about that's how they monetize their business from online transaction fees concerning foreign exchange rates. So, yeah. Forming partnerships by building new strategic partnerships to provide better experiences to consumers, offering greater choice and flexibility, acquiring new customers. I would love to say how are they acquiring new customers and reinforcing our role in the ecosystem. Basically, we are the old dog, we are the old guard, and we are trying to protect what we have because we are maybe not getting disrupted, but we are competing in a highly competitive market. That's how I'm interpreting this sentence here. Seeking new areas of growth organically and through acquisitions and strategic investments in our new international markets around the world, and focusing on innovation both in digital and the physical world. Yeah. So 2019 key performance. So that's the older one. So yeah, that's older. Maybe that's. Okay. So why are they showing the 2019? Let me see if I'm even the right one. Yeah, so December 20, yeah, so 2020, okay, okay. So yeah, this is the 2020 thing. I just want to check that it is. Okay, so we're gonna move down to look at the further the business. We measure, so basically that's the measure, how they measure the metrics. Again, we're gonna take a look at the more of the current state. Yeah, so maybe we can find another. Let's go to the recent thank you and maybe take a look at that. So yeah, I was looking at the older one, still stuck in the past. Doesn't matter, just the business highlights, the business kind of overview. Okay, so 2020 key performance metrics, expanding our base, active accounts for 377 million, 24% from 2019, driving consumer engagement, 25% from 2019. Again, engagement, 15.4 payments transactions. Yeah, that's so active accounts. That's good to know. The amount of transactions they have, that's good to know. Gaining share of the total payment volume, that's also good to know. But if they monetize mostly from cross-border, I want to see what aspect of that is actually cross-border, right? That's what we're looking for here. So we measure relevance of our product and services, consumer and performance success of our business for active accounts, payments transactions, and payments volume. Now here they explain what is an active account, what is the number of payments transactions. They account for an active account for yeah, so basically making a transaction, completing a transaction without kind of refunds and all of that, or canceling in the past 12 months. So that's not a lot, right? That's if it's a single transaction in 12 months, yeah, that's not a lot. Number of payment and transaction are the total number of payments, net payment reversal successfully completed, or payments platform enabled PayPal. Okay, so that's the number of transactions they have. total payment volume. This seems more interesting. Is the value of payments, net payments, reversal successfully completed in payments platform. So basically that's the whole, like as a whole, right? The net payments they had as the total volume of payments. That's something that, so active account seems interesting. Number of payments transactions, and the total will be the TPV, the total payment volume, which I think that's going to be the one that's going to talk about the most. Our business is built on a strong foundation designed to drive growth and differentiate us from competitors. We believe that our competitive strengths include the following. That's interesting. We're going to talk about competitive advantages. So we have that in the, yeah, it should be here in the growth phase. Okay, so a competitive advantage. Our payments platform mentions enables PayPal unique end-to-end. Yes, we read that. Scale. Our global scale is allows us to drive growth. As December of 2020, we had 30. So that's a correct amount, which is 377 and 29 million. So I want to see the ratio between those. So how many of those are 29? So it's around 10% of merchants. Yeah, 7.5%. So 7.5% are merchants, and I think that merchants will have higher volume, and not only that, they will probably get that monetized better. So that's why I'm interested in that. So we said 377, 29. So we're going to correct this. And 29, and by the way, we can see good growth, right? From 281 to 377 for the year. And also good growth, I would say 20 something percent in merchants. Yeah, so risk and compliance management, that's enough. Yeah, or a brand. We built a strong and well-recognized brands, including PayPal and Braintree, Venmo, Zoom, Hyperwallet, and iZettle and Honey. Okay, Honey we haven't looked into. We will take a look at that. Our marketing efforts across multiple demographics groups play a lot important role in building the brand visibility, usage, and preferences. So let's rate the brand of PayPal. So let's first take a look at the brand, and then we're going to take a look at Honey specifically. So I'm going to go for PayPal, and you guys maybe tell me, how do you think about Venmo brand? And we can take also look a bit online. Let's see how many users they have compared to Cash App and other apps out there. So for the brand, let's go brand awareness. So for PayPal, I would say, depends on the geography, right? But I would say it's like an 8 out of 10. Like most people know or use PayPal that I know, maybe some don't, but I would say they have a very strong brand, and the brand quality, and that's something that I have to think about more, but I would rate that also a solid maybe 7 out of 10, because I think that it's associated with stability, with security, but also they take a cut. So it's kind of it's about everybody has to take a cut, but because of that cut, I think that some people don't like them, and they also had some issues. But that's a bit of the early on days. They also had issues with money laundering and something like that. So I would say 7 out of 10. That's my own recollection. I would take a further look into that, kind of think about it a bit more, but it's kind of on top of my head. Marketing strategy, I didn't see anything too strongly there, so I'm going to leave it open. Also about the customer acquisition, still nothing too kind of specific. I want to see more light on that. Yeah, so brands we have built, we read the risk compliance management, regulatory, yeah, nothing major. So our two sides platform merchants. So they're really highlighting that we are playing in the both ends of the playing field, right? We are both with the consumers and the merchants, and we are tying them together, and we're monetizing probably the merchants a bit more, but we are basically making our own loop in a sense, and it's all flows within our system, which is a very, very solid thing. I wanted to check Venmo and Cash App. So yeah, please type in the chat. What do you think about Venmo brand? If you have experience with that. So Venmo user account. Let's see if we have something. So in terms of the actual user count, it's 52 million, which is, I wonder what geography it is. If it's only US and maybe US and Canada, that's not bad. That's a decent chunk of change. Trevor is saying I use Venom all the time, never had an issue. And Cash App user count. So yeah, 30 million. So that's 30 million monthly active users for Cash App. Yeah, so both are very popular. It seems like Venmo is bigger. I don't see the growth trends for Cash App, but I actually heard about Cash App more than Venmo, but it's surprising to me to see that, hey, Venmo has more users. I wonder, we need to explore a bit further kind of the differences between them, and I want to see how much time I want to spend on that, because I don't know how well they monetize, but in terms of the amount of user, right? Like if we look at the total user count, I think they include that in here, right? In the total users. So I would say that, yeah, more than, what's that? Like, that's more than 20, let's say 15% of the users are using Venmo. So that's a decent amount. And again, those 377, I'm sure that a lot of them are not US based. So I would say even a lot of the US based customers are using Venmo. So maybe they still have more room to grow, but yeah. Okay, that's good. We're on that. Okay, our strengths. Two-sided platform, we saw that. Oh, still the old one. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so okay, PayPal's payment platform enables merchants accept all type of online and offline payments. I love that. I keep saying that when they're not walling themselves and they're not putting things that hey, we're not dealing with this, we're not dealing with that. It becomes a hassle for someone to use that, and they can't monetize that. So the fact that they're making themselves convenient for usage, that's very good, including those made with PayPal and Venmo wallets, credit cards and debit cards, Apple Pay, Samsung Pay. Yeah, they're working with almost everybody. I don't see a mention of Cash App and Square. So maybe that one is not, yeah, maybe it's just a different thing. Our diversified product suite tailored to meet the needs of merchants, regardless of the size of the business and complexity. So there are one solution fits all, so that's very good. We have expanded our merchant value proposition and payment acceptance point of sale with PayPal and Venmo digital wallets and IZL sales solutions. So our response, our quick response to QR code-based solutions, that's probably IZL, right? We aim to offer a seamless omni-channel solution that helps merchants manage and grow the business. Our Honey platform and PayPal consumer credit offerings, including installment payments for products, enable merchants to drive increased conversion for higher consumers. So let's look at that Honey platform. I've never used that Honey platform, PayPal. So that's okay. So that's a news piece of the acquisition. So it was an acquisition for 4 billion. So they paid a decent amount for the Honey platform. Let's see what it does. So online savings simplified. Honey joined the PayPal family. Use it to find discount. So probably is a discount discovery, and looks like it's a Chrome edition. Let's add that. Add it for free. I don't mind getting stuff for free. Add it to Chrome. Yes. So let's see if it's if it's a full install. Yeah, join with Google. So we say if we're not using the I wouldn't like to receive news. So if we're not using the products and we can get first-hand research, we can create that experience for ourselves. So one-click savings, next step, let's do the walk. Let's see what they have here. The best deal fast. We instantly apply the biggest savings to cart total, rewards, finish demo. Okay. So Amazon, coupons. That's awesome for Etsy, for eBay, for Apple. So basically, it's a coupon system they have for different merchants worldwide. I love it. It's beautiful. So I'm going to use it later on. Let's see if there's something actually worthwhile that I can personally use. That's going to be really insightful. So yeah, let's get going. So yeah. Okay, so we offer access to credit for certain small and medium-sized merchants through our PayPal working capital and PayPal business loans. So basically, they also, yeah. So I'm gonna add that here. Yeah. So also giving loans to small and medium-sized businesses. Okay. Yeah. So that's good to know. We collectively refer to as merchants layer and offering our PayPal working capital products allow to borrow a certain percentage of their annual payment volume processed by PayPal and fixed fee. Our PayPal business loan product provides business in short-term financing for a fixed fee based on an evaluation of both applying business. Okay, so basically they're giving them a fee based on their annual earnings. Our existing small medium merchant. I would love to see how many of those they have. Expand their services, new merchants providing access to capital that may not be available. So basically more volume. Also, they probably pay a decent interest on that. So everybody wins, especially PayPal. So that's why they're so generous and they're offering those. Yeah. Our acquisition of controlling equity in Kuafabo Information Technology, GoPay Limited, a holder of payment of business license in China, enabled to partner with Chinese financial institutions and technology platform to provide more comprehensive payment solutions and merchants. Both, yeah, that's very good, right? That's awesome. I didn't know they have any operations because I know that Ant Financial is so big in China. So that's very good that they have partnered with a local player, and they also have a equity stake in there. It's a controlling equity stake, so probably more than 50%. We generate revenues for merchants primarily charging fees, completing the payment transaction, and other payment-related services. Okay, so consumer value proposition, that's for us good to know. We need to understand why would someone use PayPal and Venmo over any type of app. So we focus on providing affordable consumer products intend to democratize, that goes with the mission, the movement of money. We provide consumer and digital wallet enables to spend payments merchants and safely using a variety of funding sources, which may include bank accounts, PayPal Cash or Cash Plus bank account, Venmo balance and credit products, credit card, debit card, and stored value, okay. We also offer consumer P2P payments through our PayPal and Venmo and Zoom product services. Okay, we enable domestic, international P2P transfer. I'm using those, by the way, definitely, which is somewhat, again, it's a B2B, but still peer-to-peer. Our Venmo and app US is leading the mobile application. That's very good. That's meaning the leader in mobile apps, which I think is the future, right? Especially with Gen Z, they're using less and less like PCs and all of that, and all of their work is done on mobile. And if you look at other markets, especially third world countries, actually most of the workload is done on mobile, and especially payments and all of that. So posters and selecting merchants say, okay, Zoom is international money transfer service. Yeah, okay, that's good. I don't want to spend too much time on that because we still have so much to go. We offer PayPal credit products in certain markets, potential funding check. Okay, certain markets, meaning not every market, and I don't think they have it here, and I wonder where they do have it. So once consumer approved, credit PayPal credit is available in funding source for account holder. Our US PayPal and Venmo branded product consumer credit program is offered primarily through Synchrony Bank, and in addition, we have expanded our consumer credit offerings, include payment products in the US, UK, France, and Germany, which is good. Okay, so that's I thought it might be only a US and Canada thing, which I'm surprised they don't have in Canada, but US, UK, France, and Germany. We believe that our consumer credit products will allow us to increase engagement with consumer and merchants two-sided network. So they're really highlighting the two-sided network. We generate revenue from consumers charged with the currency conversion. Yeah, we saw that. So protecting, again, that's good, but I'm not going to spend too much time on that. That's very important to know. I will definitely check that out. Kind of preventing fraudulent activities, account takeover, all the things we know. But through my personal research, I feel okay skipping that for the sake of our meeting and focusing on more important stuff for understanding the business. Competition. So let's see if it's generic or they actually give us some actual info, because sometimes whenever you see competition, it might be generic. So we need to do external research. The global payments industry is highly competitive, continuously changing and highly innovative, and increasingly subject to regulatory scrutiny oversight. Yeah, we compete against a range of businesses, some of the potential. Okay, so that's all generic. Other competitors or smaller, younger companies may be more agile and respond quickly to regulatory and technological changes. Maybe they refer to Square and maybe SoFi or things like that, which is a bit different. But and the firm, I know that. By the way, I know that PayPal also have a buy now pay later system. So they're trying to implement. So yeah, definitely also a competitor there. Yeah, so many of the areas we compete evolve rapidly: innovative, disruptive technologies, emerging competitors, businesses, alliances, shifting consumers. Okay, all generic. We differentiate ourselves merchants to ability to innovate, develop services and new experiences, and nothing that I want to input. Support transactions and payments platform across varied technologies and payment methods. Through simplicity and transparency, our fee structure, that's good to know that it's transparent. I'm going to see how transparent it is. And seller protection programs. In addition, we differentiate ourselves for consumers through the ability to use products and services across multiple commerce channels. So I would think, if I would think about, so I need to look at the competition a bit more to say that that's an actual competitive advantage, but that's what I'm looking at. I'm trying to find something that I can work with that's to say, hey, this is their competitive advantage. And it's something that I'm going to take with me and think about more that so how is PayPal different? And if they are truly platform agnostic and all of that, and others are not as much, that might be our competitive advantage. And that's something that I'm kind of looking at, trying to dig for, because I'm not seeing too much of that. I'm not seeing something that here that says, hey, we are not going to get disrupted. This thing might be one of that. I'm getting hopeful, but I need to look at what the competition is doing a bit more deeply in order to say that's our competitive advantage. We believe that we can compare favorably to our competitors with respect to these factors, invest resources. So they believe that they will compare favorably. So that's kind of my assumptions. But again, that's something that I need to dig a bit further, and we'll definitely do that. Our business faces competition from a wide range of businesses and platform, physical and electronic payments, financial institutions. So I can think of banks, but also I would think maybe about even Visa and MasterCard and American Express as almost as another form of a traditional traditional payment method, right? That someone can choose, hey, I don't want to pay the PayPal fee and just use their credit card, which comes with other risks and other things. But I think that PayPal does offer convenience. I really feel that. And they do have that sense of security, especially if you're more skittish around online payments again, if you only use Amazon, that's all good. But if you're not the business you're transacting to is not that trustworthy, you might be choosing to use PayPal. And I always check PayPal first, and then I would think about putting my credit card. Yeah. So here nothing that I see that stands out. Okay, so yeah, that's for our core business. So we already read that technology. Okay, so I want to skip a bit this IP government regulation. Again, it's all important stuff, right? But we are bank agency supervision, lending regulation, all things that affect the business, anti-money laundering, things that they faced before, interchange fees, data protection, super important things. But time constraints, I will just either read it on my own time or the next time, probably on my own time, not to waste your time with regulatory stuff and things like that, or just input that in my thesis template there. So last thing I want to check is, I'm skipping the risk impact of foreign. So that's actually more important than you might think for a company like PayPal, if that's how they make money, right? So the impact might be, but probably they are able to navigate that. But you can see some kind of impacts here that, it can fluctuate the numbers a bit. I want to see breakdown of revenues. That's what I'm looking at. So net revenues, transaction revenues, and revenues from other added services. So again, we're talking about how the company makes money. So they have two different segments. One is transaction revenues, net fees charged for merchants and consumers in transaction basis, primarily based on TPV. Completed on our payments platform growth. TPV is directly impacted by the number of payments transaction we enable on our payment platform. So we earn additional fees on transaction where we perform currency conversion, and when we enable a cross-border transaction. Again, I really want to know what they mean by additional. Like, so is TPV, let's say by its own, is like 90% and then the conversion is the next 10%, or is the other way, or is it 50-50? What's the deal here? Because that's the way the money flows. If it flows only domestically, there's not a lot of meat in there, but if it flows internationally, there's more. I'm sure there's more meat in there, but I really want to know how much. So maybe we need to calculate that on our own. Maybe we'll see. I will do. We're going to talk about revenues and revenues breakdown even more in the next session. We'll break that down. I'm going to try my best to understand what is the impact of the conversion fee. Right? Is that a huge part, or is it a minimal part? Because I suspect it's a bigger chunk than they let on. Again, suspicion, might be totally wrong, and that's research, right? We learn as we go. So revenues from other added services, net revenues primarily from earned through partnerships, referral fees, so gateway fees, and services we provide merchants and consumers. We also earn revenues from interest fees and primarily on our portfolio loans. So this seems like an exciting part of the business, but we're going to see how big of a segment that is, because if that's not, it's exciting, right? Loans, it's a good way to generate money, but if it's not a big part of the business, then it's not that super interesting. Our revenues can be significantly, that's a risk, the mix of merchants, products, and blah, 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 generic stuff, geographies, again, probably just generic stuff. And how they account for an active account, we already saw that. Okay, so net revenue analysis. So revenue growth, and this is the breakdown of the two segments. And as I said, the other revenues is around, I would say less than 10%. Less than 10% of their business. So it's not a huge segment for them. The revenues from other value-added services and the loans part are probably going to be a small section of that. If the growth of the smaller segment was higher, I would get more excited. But currently, it looks kind of meh. So I'm going to leave that as a maybe. I want to think about how does crypto play into that, and how is future monetization on Venmo might play into that. But that's more of a end of discussion part. Like after we do our evaluation, it's going to be maybe our open call options for what can happen with the business. But revenues increased at a good pace, so up to 2020. We're going to see we're going to look at the 10Q later and see their current situation, what's actually going on today, how's revenues are looking, and all of that. So again, we're just building our education today. Tomorrow is going to be starting to developing a thesis. I'm already starting with it today, but developing a thesis and mainly figuring out where revenues are going. That's going to be the main focus of tomorrow, looking at competition, market share, the TAM, and specifically what PayPal is doing within that. So here the breakdown: transaction revenues increased by 3.8 billion or 24% in 2020 compared to TPV, strong growth in total payment volume and payment transactions. Okay, that's all good. Active accounts have increased, so the user account increased from 267 to 377 in 2 years. Good growth. number of payments have almost, I would say, what is that, like an 80% increase or something like that. That's a good, a solid increase in the transaction. So you see that actually what caused the volume to increase the most, I would say, is the amounts of transactions rather than amounts of users. So the user count did increase, but the volume increased at a much farther pace. So if I'm thinking about what to be bullish on, 377, I want to see how's that evolved compared to the recent 10Q, but the number of transactions, again, for my own usage as well, that's something that I feel I'm using that more and more, from maybe once a week, a few years ago, to a few times a day. That's a big, big difference. So that's something I'm actually bullish on, and I want to see how that plays out. So that's me starting to develop a thesis, right, about where I want to focus my energy and time, and my assumptions about where the revenues are coming from. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, right? That's what I was looking for. I love that moment when you're thinking about something and then you see that. So percent of cross-border TPV. So basically 17%, and that's decreasing. So they're actually going more domestic, which is interesting. I want to see why that is, and maybe if they have any. I'm going to look for in the conference calls or something like that, or an interview. Why is that, and how they're seeing that? Because again, if they have an additional fee they're making on conversions, and that shrinks, that's a very negative trend, right? If it stops today at 17%, that's good, right? So 70%, 90%, that's not a huge issue. But if that trend continues indefinitely, it goes to essentially zero, right? Which will probably not happen, but we need to figure out where is that trend going. So I'm gonna put that in. So let me even screenshot that. I'm gonna put that in my. I'm sure there's a more efficient way of doing that, but yeah. So let's see how it turns out. No, okay, I'm just gonna keep that. I'm gonna incorporate that later on. So let me double check. Yeah, let me read the chat. Total payment volume. So for Randy's question, how about the numbers for the most recent 3 quarters? The numbers you showed for 2020 are older. The recent price reduction is, yeah, I know Zheng Zhao. I know that. So that's the thing, right? I don't want to get influenced by today's numbers as much as I'm trying to learn the business, right? Because I'm using PayPal, right? I'm using PayPal a lot, but it doesn't mean that I know how the business operates. So I'm trying to basically disassociate with all the news or any drama that the business has, and try to study the business in a pure way and how it operates. And then that's going to be the next session, right? I told you next session, I'm going to look at the 10Q. And if you look at the breakdown I have here, I also have somewhere recent news. So that's going to be that part. So I'm definitely not forgetting about, I'm not investing in 2020's business or 2019's. I'm investing, if I'm going to end up investing in PayPal, it's going to be for the 2024 or 2027 business. Okay. So don't worry about it. I just want to have a complete education. So yeah, we're going to wrap up soon, but I love that type of, so that's exactly what I was looking for. And you see, I'm trying to kind of complete the puzzle. So yeah. So transaction revenue grew more slowly, TPV, which means grew 31%. So what you said, Jeng, is already started probably in 2020. We grew 31%. The number of payment transactions, which grew 25% in 2020 compared to 2019, primarily to a higher proportion of P2P. So basically, they're saying Venmo is taking a larger part of their business. That's also very good. I'm going to note that. Yeah, so that's there. Not here, so let me use, yeah. Higher portion of the mix of revenue of transactions is going through Venmo. So is it a bullish thing or a bearish thing, right? Because if Venmo is the future of the business, that's all good. But the question is how they're monetizing Venmo, and that's something that I have I have suspicions that they're not monetizing that well yet, because it's a newer business, it's a less mature business, and usually more mature businesses are more of the cash cows, and those businesses can be money losers even, or just breaking even. The question is, what is the trajectory? Is Venmo gonna, again, I still don't know, but we're gonna take a look at that. From which we earn lower fees. Again, that's my assumption. I wish I read that line before I gave my, so which we earn lower fees, a decline in hedging gains, and the higher portion of TPV generated from platform partners, large merchants who generally pay low rates and transaction volumes. So they're saying a higher mix of the revenues are coming from Venmo, and Venmo is currently generating lower fees. So I'm going to put that in as well, which is, I don't know, it's not a positive, but maybe it's a necessity. And lower fees. So we're a bit over time, so I'm going to wrap up in a second, but yeah, let me just read that line and we're going to wrap up. So yeah, revenues from other decreased other services. So yeah, they have decreased from the other segments of their business. That's not a huge part of their business, so I'm not that worried about it, but maybe it's a trend, right? Like Zheng, like Gang Zhao, like you said, right? That maybe there's a trend happening here that, hey, there's a decrease in here, decrease there, maybe it's overall shrinking. The question is, and that's what I'm going to leave you with, the question is the shrinkage that we see, or might see, first, is it temporary? Or is it something that's going to change? And even if it's not, right, what is the rate of the, I would say, the shrinkage in volumes or just the growth rates they have in different segments? But not only that, how does that compare to the valuation at the end of it? Because if it goes, let's say, from 25% to 23%, and it's going to hit all the way to 15%, but the company, and I'm not saying that's the case, that's what we're going to find out together, and we're going to also engage with Jeremy on that. So if the revenues are decreasing, look at Dropbox, right? Dropbox, for example, they also have decreasing revenues, but on the other hand, they're really starting to scrape the surface of profitability. So there are opposing things going on at the same time. Again, shrinking revenues or even revenue growth rates is not a positive. The question is the stock over reflecting that, meaning an opportunity? Because again, if you go from 25% revenue growth or 20% to a 15-ish revenue growth, but your price, like you, not like you're going bankrupt, but your price like you're almost going out of business, that can be an opportunity. Again, I'm really not saying that's the case, but I think that's something that I am personally going to try to figure out whether that's the case, because I tried, you saw, I didn't talk about the stock. I didn't mention the stock in any shape or form. Today I was just sitting and trying to understand how the company makes money. That's it. That's all I spend this 1 hour with you guys. And you say it's very meticulous, right? I'm trying to understand where the money, even though I'm using the product, right? I'm using the service. I'm trying to understand where is the money coming from, and in details, right? Is it coming from the conversion fee? Is it coming from Venmo? Is it coming from the core PayPal? Is it coming from lending? I need to know that, because next meeting is going to be about revenues. And after I know how much revenues I think they can have in, let's say, 2025, 2026, the third meeting is going to be about, the first session is going to be about looking at expenses as well and tying everything together into a valuation scheme, or thinking about PE ratios and all of that. But first, I need to know where the revenues are coming from. And actually, if you look at any of my core investments that I do on a daily basis, most of what I focus on first when investing in any business is to figure out the long-term trajectories of revenues. And it starts with, first, how the company makes revenues. I have to understand that. And second, what are the long-term catalysts that the company is either benefiting or hurting from? It can be a long-term trend, like something like think about Tesla that benefits from EVs. PayPal is benefiting from fintech. Tattoo Chef is benefiting from plant-based food consumption, right? There's all these trends. So I'm going to try and figure out the TAM and then the future market share in as many segments as I can, at least the core segments that the company has. So I want to give you a hint about the next session. So next session is going to be about figuring out the revenues, the total addressable market, and actually the market share that PayPal has today. But not only that, what I think the market share will be like in the future, again, especially for the core business. And let's try and figure out also exciting part of the business, like what's going on with, I don't know, like the honey thing they have, or what they have in cryptos, things they operate in, crypto payments, crypto wallets. I don't know, right? I'm going to try and figure it out what as we go, and that's when we're going to listen to the conference call. And maybe I'm going to watch an interview, but the thing is, if I'm going to do something that's not within our meetings, because I don't want to spend your time, I will know that and I will tell you that, right? Hey, I looked into this interview. Here's the link. I have listened to this conference call, and this is what I found. I'm going to post it in my thesis document. And also I'm going to touch up the notes here just to organize that. So yeah, let's take a Q&A for, let's see if anyone has any questions or something they want to add before our next meeting. And after that, I think we can wrap up.
I'm going to unmute all you guys so you're able to unmute yourself as well if you'd like. Just give me 1 second. Cool. Yeah, feel free to unmute if you have any questions and I'll wrap it up.
Mm-hmm. Any questions about either PayPal business, the future plans we have in terms of researching the business, something that you want to say about your thesis, if you have some, because you guys voted for PayPal, so you might have a thesis going on already. So let me hear from you. Do you have something that you want to add to my, again, this is very preliminary research. You said just how the company makes money, but that's the important part. Everything else, if we can figure out how the company makes money, and what the future prospects are. If I can gauge two things about the company, the opportunity and the execution, I know whether I'm going to invest in that or not.
I still have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I still missed what you said. What was the definition of TVP?
So it's total payment volume, I think. TPV.
Oh.
Yeah. So I think they have it the breakdown, but yeah. So total payment volume. But they show also how they account for total payment volume, but that's the definition here.
Is it adding up the first two columns?
Yeah.
So it's adding up all the other revenues. That's where they're coming up with TVP.
So think about it that way. Think about users and user transactions, right? You have they have a few million users, 330 something, and each time those users make a payment, right? That's the frequency of payments. That's the number of payment transactions, right? So after that, and the number of payments of per active account, and if you combine everything together, from what I understood, is the value, and that's with the value of the payments as well, right? Like how much actual, what is the number of the transaction, right? How much money was in that transaction? Is it a 50 cents transaction or 50K transaction? So yeah, the total volume, basically the total pie of the money flowing through the system.
Oh, okay. Okay. I understand now. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Again, I'm going to do that. I'm going to break that down, and I'm going to look into that further and break that down when I'm going to do my revenue projections. So I'm going to see how many active accounts they have, number of payments transactions, and how is that exactly tying into the TPV, kind of seeing how the calculation works and making that everything is in check. Awesome. Any other questions or inputs? Doesn't have to be a question. You read the chat. No, since we're good.
All right, awesome. Well, we'll wrap this one up, Nimi. I appreciate you as always, man. Glad to have you on here. Thank you everybody for attending, and thank you everyone for watching the recording as well. Stay tuned for the next one. We're gonna do the same thing tomorrow. Nimi already kind of gave some details of what we're gonna be talking about tomorrow. Again, 12 p.m. PST. So we got sessions Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So we'll see you on those calls. If you can't make it live, you can watch the recordings. Nimi, great job, man. Appreciate all your work. Appreciate all your help. And
Thank
we'll
you.
see you guys tomorrow.
Thank you, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day, and see you tomorrow.